Hello, welcome to everyone. You should be able to see my screen. Welcome to the fourth ACRE Workshop. We are now going to present the organization of the workshop and take a look at the agenda, and then I will leave the stage to our presenters. The very first thing is, okay, please, if someone has an online mic, please mute it, because this creates problems with the meeting. Okay. Just a second, we have a technical problem, but we are solving it. Okay, so welcome again. Sorry, the joys of conference calls that we all know so well. So let us go again to the organization of the meeting. Here you see some guidelines. Please, we like if you turn your camera on, because this way we can look everyone face to face, and instead please keep your microphone muted, because otherwise this becomes a mess. You can use the chat of the Zoom meeting to ask questions. The questions and answers session is at the end of the workshops, but we will write them down and then give you the answer at the end. And during the questions and answers, you can also ask other things, either via chat or with your voice. So we'll be able to talk there. The workshop is recorded and live streamed. So if any one of you has a problem with this, they should leave now. So then on to the agenda. Here you see the presentation that we will have. The very first one is from Agnes Delaborde, who is the coordinator of the metrics project that ACRE is a part of. Then we will have an outline of what ACRE is and what are its campaigns by Matteo Matteucci, who is the leader of ACRE and comes from Politecnico di Milano. Then we will have two presentations about the field campaign, that is the physical one, done in the field with robots, one about the past experience and one about the next campaign that will take place in May 2023. Then another presentation about the Cascade campaign, that is the data-based one based on data collected during the field campaigns. And finally, a presentation by Raffaele Giaffreda, who is the coordinator of a European project starting right now, that will try to tie the experience of ACRE with the next things that we are already planning, and we are going to present them to you in a preliminary form here. So at the end, of course, the questions and answers session I talked about before. So I leave the stage to Agnes Delaborde, coordinator of Metrics, to present the project to you. Thanks, Agnes.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Normally, it's good for you. Can you confirm, please?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, great. So I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation, Giulio. So I'm going to introduce the overall metrics project in which ACRE takes part. As you can notice, Giulio, I pronounce ACRE the French way. So on the metrics project on the whole, the rationale at the beginning of the project was that we've got on one side, what we can see on the left, we've got an AI and robotics supply. On the other side, on the right, we've got people who would like to use AI and robotics. And naturally, well, as we all know, I think around the table, we know of it, there are some problems in terms of, well, being able to say what's really in the AI and robotics devices. And on the side of the demand, there's a strong need for trustworthiness and being able to, well, when you buy something and use something, you want to know what is inside it. So here, to tie the gap, to tie the link, we consider that the evaluation of such devices is required. So this is the rationale of the metrics project. We've got three big objectives in the project. First, and I will introduce it afterwards, metrics project is not only agriculture, it's also several other domains like healthcare. We want to ensure that we've got a common framework, common basis for doing the evaluation, and this evaluation must be done properly, following good practice and following metrological principles. We also need to ensure that the evaluation takes into account the fact that, okay, you've got a device, a robot, but the device is made of several different modules, including AI. So the evaluation must cover the AI modules and also the entire robots. We also need to make sure in the metrics project that we take into account the needs, the expressions of interest, etc., well, the ecosystem at large. So we encourage and do the necessary actions to ensure that we are linked with this ecosystem. The metrics consortium, you get it here in the square rectangle. You've got in the project 17 partners all across Europe. We also have an advisory board, so external people helping us in the design of the project. And we also have a robotics stakeholder board, which consists currently of 10 members. And just so you know, we are still open to have new people joining robotics stakeholder board. The idea here is that we've got experts from all domains of the industry, even representatives of users or public powers. Well, it's fully open. And the idea is that you share your knowledge and interest with us. So it's open, still open. The idea of the competitions in metrics, we call them evaluation campaigns. we consider that when you want to do an evaluation properly, you must first make sure that your testing tools are okay, that your evaluation procedure is okay. So this is what we call the dry run. As you can see here, the first years of the project were dedicated to setting up these evaluation tools. So it was the dry run phase of the project. In 2022, we had the first official campaigns, meaning that this time, okay, it's no game, we do the proper evaluation. And this year, we're going to have the second campaign. And by the way, the project ends at the end of 2023. So it's the last final line. The competitions themselves, as I said, we need to evaluate both the robot and the AI. So we split each competition into one field campaign that is dedicated to testing the robot in physical condition, and a cascade campaign, which intends to test the AI software. It's a dataset-based evaluation. The idea, at the bottom, you can see you've got the physical context, the physical settings in which data, well, the robot is tested in these conditions, and the data collected in this physical phase is collected, gathered, it's prepared, and it's used as appropriate testing data for the Cascade evaluation campaign. In the project, we focus, well, as we know, robots are really complex systems. It seems a bit naive to say it in front of so many experts. So yes, a robot is complex. In the idea of the evaluation, we do task benchmarks. So here, the evaluation focuses on the completion of a complex task. And we also perform functionality benchmarks. Here, we can see an example, a list of different functionalities that can be tested. So the idea, task benchmarks and functionality benchmarks. The evaluation method, well, so many pictures here. As I said, we acquire, for example, here, images on 4 evaluated robots. We extract some data. We put some references, so the human annotation. I'm going to stop my screen, my camera. I have network issues. So you've got references, human annotation, so what should be the ground truth, and we compare it to what the system outputs. I told you earlier that metrics is not only agri-food, so you can see here the 4 different domains. Here we've got ACRE, that focuses mainly on reading robots, but you also have Ultimate Competition that focuses on healthcare domain, namely assistive robots. You also have RAMI Competition on inspection and maintenance, and also Adapt Agile Production. All of those competitions use the same common evaluation framework and approach. How to get involved? As I told you, it's the last year, but we are still looking for people naturally. So here, so many texts. You've got to concentrate on one thing, 2 things, in fact. First, our website, metricsproject.eu. Here you can find all the information you want on all the competitions. You must focus as well on this contact information. Well, naturally here, I guess that you already know of this address for ACRE, but you can also join everyone here through info@metricsproject.eu. So thanks a lot, and don't forget that for the remaining year, we still need involvement from the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Agnes. So we can proceed with the next presentation. This is recorded because Matteo Matteucci could not be with us today, but it will be an overview of the ACRE campaigns. I leave the stage to Matteo Matteucci. Sorry, again, there is some technical issue, but we are working on it. We plan to be able to let you hear as well as see the presentation shortly.
Hello, everyone. Nice to be here and present during the fourth ACRE workshop, the ACRE campaigns, and to provide an introduction for my colleagues that will enter the detail of the new edition that is going to happen in a few months. The ACRE campaigns are part of the Metrics project, and they have been designed to evaluate autonomous weeding robots as an alternative to the use of chemical products. In particular, they have been organized by Politecnico di Milano, INRAE, Università degli Studi di Milano, and LNE as partner of the Metrics project. The idea of the ACRE campaign comes from the fact that by reducing the use of chemical products, either via the use of mechanical, electrical, or alternative weeding system, or by the use of spot spray, we can reduce the impact of chemicals on the ground and at the same time on the plants. As I said, the use of chemicals is only one of the possible treatments. Indeed, here in this figure, you can see some alternative methodologies from mechanical one to electrical one that could be used in the treatment of weeds. The idea of the ACRE competition comes from the ROSE experience. Challenge ROSE was a national project paid by the French National Agency and has seen some teams participating in the task of autonomous weeding. The ACRE challenges take inspiration from this challenge and open the benchmarking of weeding robot to the rest of Europe as part of the EU-funded Metrics project. The idea of the Metrics project through the ACRE campaign is to organize a periodic event to evaluate a robot and to set the benchmark for autonomous weeding. In particular, we have organized 2 dry run campaigns and 2 field campaigns, plus 3 cascade campaigns. In the field campaigns, we have a physical robot performing weeding, and they are open to the public. They involve real physical robots. While cascade campaigns are data-based campaign, where AI and robotics teams can compete online on the data of the field campaign. You will have example of past and future field and cascade campaigns in the next presentation. What I would like to present here is where we are in the project, that is at the beginning of a new cascade campaign and right before a new field campaign. And I would like to invite you to attend or to participate in these campaigns. The first campaign was held last year in Montaud in France. 2 crops have been targeted, green beans and maize, and 6 main weed plants have been used in these crops. This year, we will have a second field campaign in Cornaredo, near Milan, And we will target the same crops on rather different fields. In particular, we also aim to add new crops, but my colleague Facchinetti will give you more details, and new main weed plants, which are more typical of the Italian territories. Cornaredo, for the one that do not know it precisely, is nearby Milan, in an easy-to-reach area, close by public transportation, highways, and also the Malpensa airport. What are the challenges that will be held during the ACRE challenge? Some of these are related to robot perception, and in particular, we go for plant with discrimination and leaf biomass estimation, robot navigation, which includes robot field navigation and crop mapping, and robot actuation, which is related to weed destruction and autonomous weed. All these challenges are described in what is called the ACRE evaluation plan, which is available on the Metrics project website. The link is here. And we're going to release a new evaluation plan, which is updated for the new edition of the competition. Just a few examples of the benchmarks that are going and have been run during the ACRE challenge. The most related to plant weed discrimination are weed destruction and plant discrimination, where the goal is to detect the infrared weeds and remove them by either mechanical, electrical, or any sort of weeding technology. For instance, here you see an example of plant discrimination, where you have different weeds on the plot, and here on the left you see green beans, and on the right you see a manually annotated image for the evaluation of AI algorithm for perception. Here you see another example, more detail later on during the presentation, where plants have been targeted with the blue marker and the weeds with red markers, and the robot has to destroy the red markers without leaving untouched the blue ones. Regarding the robot autonomous navigation, another task that will be evaluated during the campaign is field navigation, where robots are required to navigate some crops, and they are measured via a laser tracker during this task. Here you can see an example from the past years during which we test one of the participants to the competition. I also introduced the idea of online competition. What we have seen so far, and you will see more in depth later, are the feed campaign. We have also feed competition, which are targeted to the robotics and AI community, and they are based on field benchmark and data sets. And the first one was a dry run in October 2020. The second one was issued last year, and today we are going to launch the third Cascade campaign, which is based on the data collected on the field during last year field campaign in Untold and hand-labeled by LNE during the last month. So what remains? First of all, I would like to warmly invite you to participate to the ACRE competition, in particular because it's an event for teams. And so if you have a robot or you have a device or you have some intelligent implement that you would like to evaluate on our benchmark, please, you're welcome. Join us in Cornaredo this May. Second, participate to the Cascade campaign. They open now, and they are a nice way to prepare for the physical campaign, tune your algorithm on conditions that will be very similar to the field one. I would like also to invite you, if you are not a team, but you would like to sponsor the event, in sponsoring one special benchmark or support a team in the participation, either paying travel or just lodging, or sponsor prizes and collateral events. There will be also a show where a fair where if you want to, you can show your devices, your machines, and it will be free and open to machine producer, AI, let's say, researchers and teams that will not necessarily compete in the competition, but would like to show their robot and their devices. And if you are, let's say, if you own some data, you are a dataset provider, and you would like to design an online Cascade campaign, as you will see later on, we will not close with ACRE in May. There will be plenty of opportunities after ACRE. So please join us, contact us. There will be future events to make a good use of your data. Last but not least, if you feel you are a stakeholder and you want to get in contact with us, please join the Q&A session at the end of this workshop. Write to us. We are happy to hear from you. With this, I'm done. I'm finished. I'm happy to have introduced my colleague, and I will lead the stage to the next speakers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Jules, thank you. I share my presentation.
Okay, thank you. I will now leave the stage to Daniel Boffety and Manon Boulet from INRAE, who managed the past editions of the field campaigns to speak about their and our experience with this. Daniel, you can share your screen and present now. Please proceed.
I have a problem for the partage of the screen. You can have the you can share the
Okay, we are doing it.
Okay, maybe Manon, can you do that?
It's okay?
Yeah, we can see.
It's okay. It's okay for me.
Okay, so please tell us when to change slide.
You can look the presentation. My presentation?
Yes,
Yes.
it's perfect. You can start.
Okay. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Delaborde. I work with Manon Boulet at INRAE on the agrotechnopole site of Menthol in France. And we have a presentation about the past experience with ACRE field campaign organized in France on the INRAE site from 2020 to 2022. And in the first time, I will speak about the ACRE experimentation field setup from this experience. And after, in second time, Manon will speak you and will give you a feedback from our past experience of this last field organization of the campaign 2022. the ACRE experimental seat set up from this period on agrotechnical seat of INRAE of Montol with technical means for welcome participant. And we have a specific experimental field with an area of 4 hectares with particular condition, soil condition with sandy soil without stone, suitable for evaluation experiment in real condition. And other with, we have several technical building and hall to welcome the participant with their equipment, prototype, autonomous solution or smart implement, robot, to test new autonomous solution in navigation, in weeding action, for example. On the picture, we can look surrounded with red circle, the experimental field, and surrounded by the square, the red square, the site of Montol with the building and the hall. We organize during this period 3 field campaigns, 2 dry runs. The first dry run in October 2020 and the second dry run in September 2021. And recently, the last evaluation with the first field evaluation campaign in June 2022. The main point is a specific experimental field prepared for each evaluation campaign from 2020 to 2022. A specific field divided in experimental plot prepared according to the need for each functionality benchmark and task benchmark to choose, with crops and weed association shown by a specific precision seed drill. And we have also a specific space on the field dedicated for each participating team with their equipment, for example, to welcome prototype, autonomous solution, smart implement, robot. On the bit, you can look the people prepare the different plot for the evaluation. The experiment and the evaluation are conducted in real, in actual condition. We are with testing new autonomous solution, navigation, weeding, or other action. For this experimental field setup is with an experimental field with 2 crops and 4 weed sown. The 2 main crops are maize for the field wet crops and the bean for the field vegetable crops. For the maize, the inter-row spacing chosen is 75 centimeters, and intra-row spacing between 2 plants, we have 15 centimeters. For the bean, the inter-row spacing between 2 rows is 37.5 centimeters, and intra-row spacing between 2 plants is 7 centimeters. For the choice for the weeds is the choice for mined weeds. With we have 2 principal weeds: weeds with horizontal development spread out, and with vertical development. For the first type of weeds, we have model weeds. The model weeds is weeds used like crops, for example, mustard. And natural weeds, the choice is the matricaria. For the second type of the weeds is the weeds like as rice or natural weeds like Chenopodium. The sowing density retained is for model weeds to take into account the southern grain white, for example, 27 seed by linear meter of the row of crops. And for natural weeds, the preconization is the preconization of the provider Arbiotech for 100 meters of the row or for 10 square meters. The past experience with ACRE field campaign, here with an example of an experimental field prepared and divided into specific experimental plot to the according to the need of each evaluation campaign. And we have the maize experimental plot here with the 2 rows of the maize and the bean experimental plot with the 3 rows of the bean. And in the center of the picture, we can look maize experimental plot for plant discrimination. Plant discrimination is a specific benchmark where we use a QR code mark between maize row to identify the picture and to repair the picture for the evaluation and to prepare the future Cascade campaign. So, and I arrive at the end of my presentation, and now Manon will speak about past experience about different benchmark in the last field experiment in 2022. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just waiting to share my screen.
Okay, you can share your screen now.
Thanks. Can you see?
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
All right, nice.
That's good.
So, hello everyone. I'm Manon Boulet. I work at INRAE in Montol with Daniel. We have organized several field campaigns on the field those last years. I will talk to you about the field campaign of 2022. So we had 4 participating teams, and as well as the POLIMI team, which is our co-organizers for the field campaigns. So we had the CITIA team, which you can see at the top left. So it's the tractor robot hybrid autonomous solution. It's used in vineyards as well as for market gardening, and it can do several types of tasks. So for the ACRE campaign, they mostly participated in the navigation tasks. The Tiara project team, so at the bottom left, so it's a common joint laboratory between INRAE and the Sabi Agri company, who made the Sabi Agri tractor, which is an electric platform used mostly in market gardening and in vineyards. The other 2 teams were the Sony one, which you can see at the top right. So it's a company from Paris, and they have a robot which name is Romy. It's a prototype of an electric robot developed for market gardening, and it uses a weeding rotary tool. And the last team was the X-Lane Carbon B Association. So it comes from the Limoges University and the Carbon B company, and they were using an Elatec electric platform. So I will put the videos in the background. So these media come from the plant discrimination task. Its goal is to differentiate crops from weeds on the field. So you have sown weeds on the row, and the teams are expected to perform a work to differentiate between each type of plants, and then share with the organizers who are actually in the video that you saw right now. They use some types of marks which look like QR codes, as you can see in the video, and they compare with the ground truth done by human experts afterwards. Well, that's just some more images of the plant discrimination evaluation. So as you can see, all the several robots can perform the evaluations on the plot at the same time on different tasks if they want to. That's it. For the weed destruction task, so it was a benchmark of evaluating the weeding action of the robots. So they were using colored markers, so they don't have to perform the discrimination. They only have to identify the markers and perform the weeding where we want them to act. So you have some examples of the setup, and in the middle you can see the result of a weed destruction action. So the 3 red markers are the only things left. They were tagging 3 weeds, and all 3 weeds are gone and they didn't grow back. So the evaluation was well confirmed. The efficiency was confirmed. And there's a video here. So this is the Romy robot from the Sony company. They have a rotary tool and they perform some intra-row weeding on bean and ryegrass plots. For this type of evaluation, they don't have the access to those visual column markers. They only have their own detection devices. So they were evaluated on their efficiency as well as the not damaging the crops on the field. On the right, you can see a picture of the plot where they performed the evaluation. And the last evaluation that I will share with you is the field navigation one. So we have, Matteo presented it earlier, but we have a specific plot set up with an offset at some point to evaluate the capacity of all the robots to perform autonomous navigation on maize and on bean. So they have a path to follow, and afterwards we use the coordinates, the GPS coordinates recorded with the tracker laser device. You can see it on the right, in the picture on the right. So it follows the trajectory of the robot, and we have the reference trajectory, which is obtained during the sowing. Afterwards, we will compare and evaluate the accuracy of each trajectory. So that's it. That's what happened last year, and I will now leave the second ACRE field campaign to Davide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Manon. Thank you, Danielle. And the next presentation is provided by Università degli Studi di Milano. I leave the stage to Davide Facchinetti for it.
Okay, thank you, Giulio. Good afternoon. I'm Davide Facchinetti, and I'm responsible for the ACRE campaign for University of Milan. Unfortunately, as you can see, I still have some speech problems that prevent me to making a well-intelligible presentation. But luckily, the engineer Enrico Piazza, that is here with me, joined my team a few weeks ago. He's acquiring a PhD here at the Politecnico of Milan concerning precisely the benchmarking. So he will be perfectly able to proceed on my behalf. So I present him to you and I invite him to continue. Thank you all, and thank you, Enrico.
Thank you, Davide. So I will share my presentation. Screen right. Okay, can you see? Yeah. Okay, so as in the case of the previous edition, the field campaign is open to teams from all over the world. The competitions are focused on autonomous weeding robots to reduce or eliminate the use of pesticides. The performance evaluation is based on objective benchmarks and offer the opportunity to compete on more challenges. In this edition, the ACRE competition will offer the opportunity of exhibiting agricultural robots dedicated to different fields than weeding and high-tech solutions for agriculture. Additionally, we have an agreement with the Italian Association of Agricultural Machine Producers and L'Informatore Agrario, which is a main Italian editor of media specialized in agriculture, which can provide important media coverage. We also have received interest from a lot of companies developing high-tech agricultural solutions about providing exhibitions. So the second field campaign will be on May 25th and 26th, which is week 21. You can see more details and information on the benchmarks execution in the evaluation plan online and at this address. And I think we will also share the presentation so you can get the link. So some information about the timing. The participants can access the venue and set up from May 22nd, so at the start of the week, 2 days before the competition starts. And additional plots dedicated for testing the robots are available. Participants can use them from May 22nd, so since Monday. And they will be prepared in the same way as the competition plots, because they are for testing. Until the competition starts, the plots used for the competition can be viewed and inspected by the participants, but the robots will not be allowed on them. Also, if you have requests regarding accommodation and logistic and additional services, let us know and we will try to help. So the campaign will be on our farm called Ciro Menozzi, which is an experimental field of around 3 acres. In the image, you can see in red the part which will be used for the competition. And in yellow is the whole farm. So the field is very rich in stone, as you can see on the left, which could be a problem for some robots with small wheels, for example. So we will use a machine that you can see on the right to bury them under the surface. And as you can see in the image on the right, the surface will be clear of stones after this machine is used. So most of the farm is fenced off. It offers several technical buildings, 1 greenhouse, and holes to allow the participants to securely store their equipment. So now for the differences between the previous and the current edition, well, the next edition. So in the second ACRE field campaign, a horticultural crop such as lettuce, zucchini, or beet may be added in this next edition. The most requested crop by the end of March by the participant will be selected as the 3rd crop for the competition. So if the requested teams want, we can have 1 or more actually additional weeds to be added to the plots. These weeds were not present in Montold. The possible entries are Johnson grass, slender foxtail, and sterile oats, as you can see in the images. So another difference with the previous edition is that in order to obtain equivalent plot tests, all the weeds will be sown separately in special nurseries, and transplanted into the field just before the event. So additionally, a plot with a requested crop, any, not even just in the one in the images, but any you want, almost anything, can be prepared for participants to demonstrate their solution outside of the competition. Sorry, by participants, we mean, for example, exhibitors. So we can also prepare a plot with no crops, for example, to demonstrate seeding or crop transplanting. Even in this case, we need to know which crop is needed before the end of March, because we need to prepare it. So, like the previous edition, the benchmarks are organized as functionality and task, like we saw in the previous presentations. So the participants to the competition can choose to take part in any number of benchmarks, even just one or all of them. And the exhibitors can also provide demos in the fields. In the case of exhibitors, we gladly accept sponsorship to sponsor the campaign, not just monetary, but also, for example, by helping us to provide technical services and the other details that Matteo also mentioned before. Okay, so in this edition, we will have 2 new benchmarks with respect to the previous edition in Montreux. The leaf area estimation and the biomass estimation. The new functionality benchmarks will be added to the field campaign if any participant requests to execute them. So the leaf area estimation functionality benchmark. The goal is to estimate the leaf area of the plant along a cultivated row, like you can see an example in the image. The test environment is a linear row with approximately 20 to 50 centimeter high plants. The challenger has to move along the row and use its own perception to estimate the leaf area along the length of the row. The performance metrics are based on a comparison between the ground truth leaf area estimated by human experts with a measuring tool. So the other benchmark is a biomass estimation functionality benchmark. The goal is to estimate above ground crop biomass. The challengers have to make a pass over a prepared field, using its sensors to perceive the plants and provide an estimation of fresh weight, the biomass of the above ground parts of the plants. So the estimate provided by the robot is compared with ground truth obtained by weighing the plants after all participating robots have executed the benchmark, which is a destructive process. Since someone asked in chat before about more information, you can see a much more detailed description of these benchmarks in the evaluation plan, and there is a link in the presentation in the beginning, and we can have questions later. So in this field campaign, we'll provide an RTK correction signal and data about soil and weather conditions. But it's possible to evaluate additional facilities if requested by the competitors. This also before the end of March, so we can prepare for example, additional network infrastructure, etc. Also, a Leica laser tracker will be used as measurement system, but in this case, the data from the sensor will not be available to the teams during the benchmark execution. It's only used for our evaluation. Okay, so to participate or even just do a demo, please use the registration form. You can also use the QR code. The campaign participation deadline is April 2nd. Thank you, and I will leave the slide here for you to take the QR code.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Davide. Thanks, Enrico. I will now take again control of the screen. Okay, so the next Okay, the next presentation will be provided by Riccardo Bertoglio of Politecnico di Milano, and it will be about the data-based competition, the so-called Cascade campaign, which is actually the thing that will happen first, because it's about to begin. So please, Riccardo, the floor is yours.
So good afternoon, everyone. Good morning to some of you, and maybe even good evening, since we have participants from all around the world. So I'm Riccardo Bertoglio. I'm from Politecnico di Milano, PhD student of the Artificial Intelligence and Robotics Laboratory. And I will present you the second Cascade campaign. The second Cascade campaign is an online competition, so it can be joined by anyone everywhere in the world. Is based on the data that we collected in the first field campaign, that is the last campaign that taken place in June 2022 in Montauld, France. So what about the data set? Here on the right, you can see two sample images. We have collected images with an RGB camera mounted on the robot that you saw in the previous slide. The camera model is here if you are interested, and the resolution was 2046 per 1080. We scanned two kinds of crops, bean and maize, from the 8th to the 10th of June. One important note about the license of the dataset that we will provide with this competition: no other use is permitted beyond the scope of the competition, because when the competition will end, we will release the full dataset with all the labels with an open access like CC BY license. So just wait for the end for any other use yet you want to perform with this dataset. Together with the dataset, you will find also a dictionary that will explain the structure. Indeed, all the images will be in a single folder, and then you can refer to this dictionary to distinguish between bean and maize.
Sorry, Riccardo's PC decided to commit suicide just this moment. It's now apparent that we have something like a curse on this workshop, but we can go on. Do you want to use my PC, Riccardo? Or you can speak and... Okay. Okay, let me try to open on the fly the presentation. Non ho la tua però. Okay. Okay. Things are moving apparently in the right direction. So when Riccardo reboots, I can remind you about the thing, about the things that concern the Cascade campaigns. So the idea is that these Cascade campaigns will allow people who do not have a robot and maybe are not even interested in robots to participate to these campaigns. So this way, people who work on software, work on machine learning, and so on, can participate. So we should now be able to have again Riccardo with us.
Sorry, but of course, all the problems of the world happens in this situation. So can you see the presentation now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so I was talking about this dictionary, which will describe the structure of the data set, because we have bean and maize images, and also they have been collected in batches. batches are single run, so we drove the robot on the plot, and we collected some images, and then between the different batches there is the difference of hours or even days. So because we collected this data from the 8th to the 10th of June, as I said. So for each batch we have 100 images, and we have 10 batches, 5 for the bean crop and 5 for the maize crop. So in total, 1,000 images with their labels. And we have, of course, also ground truth, as I just said, to train your algorithm. And the task is object detection. So here on the right, you can see 2 samples of the ground truth. And the classes are, of course, crop and wheat. And the labels will be in COCO format, which is a pretty standard state-of-the-art annotation format. What are the challenges of this data set? So there is a class unbalance. As you can see from the images, there are many weeds and some crop plants. There is a high number of objects, up to 150 detections in one single image, objects of different sizes. Crops are usually bigger, and even weeds are of different sizes, very small and medium-sized plants. That we have many overlap objects, and the ground truth actually is pretty good, but not always perfect. So I invite you to do a cleaning of the images. For example, sometimes the labelers confuse the weeds from crops. And this can be done by, for example, an analysis of the number of crops, because usually the number of crop plants in an image is always pretty the same. So you can, if you see a high number of crops, probably this is a bad image to be discarded. So this is just a tip for the competition. The evaluation will be done with the average precision, which is a state-of-the-art metric used also in the COCO challenge, and it will be done with 101 points of interpolation. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there is plenty of material in the internet and papers about this metric. And in particular, on the leaderboard, you will find average precision, like in the COCO challenge. So with 10 steps of IU from 50 to 95, and also the average precision 50. And you will find a global average precision and also an average precision computed singularly for the bean images and the maize images. And it will be computed with the official COCO API, and you can find in GitHub, on GitHub, the code of this metric. And also you can find more details on the COCO-dataset.org website. So this is a 2-stages competition. In the first stage, called development stage, that will last 2 months, you will train your algorithms on the training set, and you will be evaluated on a so-called test dev data set. And then we will have a final stage, and we will provide you a new subset of the data called test final. It will last only 1 week, and you will have maximum 3 submissions. And this is the idea here is to limit the overfitting to the test data. So here is a table summarizing the schedule of the competition, how the images are split. Basically, the training will be composed of 70% of the total data set, and the development test will be 10%, and then the final test set will be 20% of the 1,000 images of the entire data set. So we will give awards to the winners. We will have a global ACRE second Cascade campaign award, which will be the participant with the best average precision. And then we will have the bean winner with the best bean average precision, and also the maize winner, who will be the participant with the best maize average precision. So some competition rules, participants are allowed to form teams, and there are no limitation on the number of participants in the teams. The winners will have to, the top scorer will have to provide us the code to reproduce their results. We have to verify their solutions. And finally, you will find all the terms and other conditions in a section on the web page of the competition. So when and where the competition will be launched the first week of March. We are finalizing the platform. The duration again is 2 months and 1 week for the final phase. And it will be hosted on CodeLab like the first campaign. And here you can find the link of the platform, and you can already register an account. You will find some tabs on the competition web page to learn more details about the competition, to participate, to see the results of the leaderboard, to, for example, share and communicate with other participants on the forums. And also here you will have more information about the dataset and how you will be evaluated. So how to participate? First, you need to create an account on the CodeLab platform. Second, you need to fill out this form, okay, at this link, or you can use the QR code. Then you will receive from us an email in the first week of March, okay, announcing the launch of the competition. And you will receive also the link of the web page of the competition. When you have this link, you need to go on the Participate tab and then accept the terms and conditions and click Register. And then you need just to wait for approval. It's a manual approval, so it's not automatic. You need to wait some time, okay? That's all. If you have questions, I will be glad to answer them in the Q&A session. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Riccardo.
Riccardo?
Okay. So let us come back to the agenda. We are a bit late, but we'll manage. And the next presentation will be from Raffaele Giaffreda, who is the coordinator of project AgrifoodTEF, which is a larger project than Matrix and will take up part of the legacy of ACRE and of Matrix. The floor is yours, Raffaele.
Okay, thank you very much, Giulio. Share my screen. Ooh, desktop, whichever. Let's see. Can you see my screen? Okay. Right, so thank you. It was very interesting actually to hear the workshop so far, because it's like when you look at the you look at the ancestors of your own children, and here we are looking at a project that is about to well, we just started. It's going to last 5 years, and it's called Agri-foodTEF. Okay. So, oops, yeah. Now, I will not bore you with the wider context. We all know what we are facing, and we start with Agri-foodTEF. TEF stands for Testing and Experimentation Facilities. This is a Digital Europe program project. The European Commission wants to bridge a little bit better the gap between all the good research and innovation that has been produced and is being produced, and the market of adopters that will use those solutions that are based on artificial intelligence and robotics for the primary production in the agri-food sector. It's a 5 years project to be continued afterwards with as a sustainable initiative. So all the services that will be created during the project will have to become also available to produce a business that hopefully will support itself after the end of the financed project. As Giulio was mentioning, is a quite a big project. It's a 60 million euro funding for 5 years. Like all Digital Europe projects, the European Commission expects to have 50% funding coming from the member states. So the member states have got to have an interest in the results that all these projects come up with. And of course, the European Commission will fund the other 50%. I would mention, like for all Digital Europe programs, this is not a research project. This is more of an innovation project. And here, the outcome will be rather than deliverables or papers or any results that can be in the written format. Here we need to sell the services, services that help the SMEs, the startups, as well as big companies to validate their pre-market solutions. So the specific focus is really just to take this company and solutions from TRL6. So we expect our customers to come with an in-lab validated solution already, so therefore no research. And we will help them assess and experiment and validate their solution directly in the fields, in real life conditions, pretty much taking on what an ACRE competition looks like, but for a business purpose rather than for having a demonstration activity. So we expect the companies to walk away with the TRL8 solution after having done the validation with us. In terms of features, focus and use cases, we will have a number of different agri-food sectors that we will focus on, all of them in the primary production and livestock farming domain. So we'll be looking at arable crops, woody crops, vegetables, grassland and farmland crops. And the technologies that we expect to validate are, of course, artificial intelligence and robotics, but we'll be making use of, for our services, of additional technologies such as UAVs, remote sensing, IoT sensing, as well as imagery from satellites, and anything that can enrich the ability to monitor crops while these are growing will be part of the services that we provide. In terms of facilities, we are looking at open fields, but not only. We also controlled environments like greenhouses that we also expect to use and to make available for companies to assess their products on. The project is structured with a number of nodes across Europe. We will have nodes and satellites. The nodes are a little bit bigger. They take 10 million funding each, whereas the satellites come with 5 million each for the funding. Quality, Italy, Germany, and France are the major nodes. So we are still awaiting feedback from one more node that might add to the set here of partners. And then we've got satellites from Belgium, Poland, Austria, and Sweden. In terms of focus, Italy will focus on quality crops. Production in Italy is pretty much seen abroad as just quality agri-food production, and therefore we plan to help the overall ecosystem of production in agri-food in Italy to support and sustain that quality level that let's say makes us different, or that highlights our production or identifies our production compared to the rest of Europe. Germany will have a focus dedicated to agriculture machinery production. whereas France, and with the role as well of here represented LNE with Agnes Delaborde, will have a role in ensuring that artificial intelligent algorithms and solutions can indeed be assessed from a conformity and a compliance to European rules point of view. There will be a co-creation close to real living labs in Belgium. There will be support from HPC from Poland. There will be also AI and arable and farmland machinery services that become available from Austria in an alpine environment, as well as the new frontiers for sustainable farming in the north of Europe, and that will be taken care of by our Sweden and Swedish colleagues. I will finalize this presentation with presenting you the TEF model, in which we sum up what is the TEF all about. So we have a number of partners coming from all these countries that you see represented there. So we will bring competencies. The partners will have competencies, know-how, and the facilities, and they will propose services on a catalog. These services will be available through a catalog that will be linked through the project's website, and we will provide real-life field validation services, not only to the countries that are represented in the consortium, but to all the countries that have signed up the Digital Europe program. So these services will be available to anyone that is willing to indeed make use of them. The companies will just come to us and with their own solutions. As I said, the TEFs target digital solutions or digital companies that provide solutions to the agri-food sector. So the companies will come with their own solutions. We will provide the testing facilities. We will provide them services which they can choose from our catalog. And then once that, let's say, link is done, the experimentation will take place for however long it takes. And the companies will walk away with a stamp of approval or whatever will be evidence from the service that has been delivered to them with the results of whatever that is been tested that will help them sell better their product and make their product more market ready. Just a last point in terms of roles for the various stakeholders, that being a big project, we have many stakeholders that work with us. So not only companies will get a validation of their products, but we'll also have access through the project partners and the project clusters that, let's say, revolve around the various partners' networks, access to you know, just new market avenues or new selling opportunities for their products. The farmers will be there for let's say, supporting the validation with their requirements. They will see what solutions are being tested and developed in some of their fields. If they, in some cases, they will be engaged directly. And the associations as well are engaged. The association of farmers as well as of machinery production companies will also be engaged as, let's say, opportunities for these companies to spread the word about what services are available from these TEF projects. So the idea there is that you know, just whatever will be indeed impactful for and will be perceived as impactful for those categories of stakeholders will indeed just be strengthened in the eyes of the community with further ammunition for their sales campaign and market campaign. Of course, policymakers will be involved in this, and they will get inside knowledge as to what is technology that works, from what is technology that doesn't work, and what is expected to achieve a strong impact from what is needs a little bit further work through the next years. And this is something that the policymakers will have access to in terms of results, which will help them steer a little bit better the common agricultural policy campaigns and strategies that they will implement in the next few years. That's it from me. There's a website that is already being put up, so we will be adding more and more content to that website. There are some registration that you can have access to, which are already available, and this website will transform itself into a portal which will help companies like yourselves to engage directly with us and plan the use of the services that we will have in our catalog. Thank you very much, and back to you, Giulio.
Okay. Thank you very much, Raffaele. As everyone can see, Europe has decided that this benchmarking of, in the sense of objective evaluation of performance of robots in agricultural contexts should become less a research effort and more something that all of us, and especially manufacturers, should take into consideration in their everyday activities. So things are moving. So as I said, ACRE paved the way for this, and AgrifoodTEF is taking up this stance towards the problem and bringing it to a set of services offered to companies, but not only to companies, of course, also researchers can be interested. We can now start the questions and answer sessions, and I will start it by reading what has been written up to now in the chat. So please, Riccardo, share that slide. I can read what has been written so far. So the first question on the chat was, how does the biomass estimation protocol work? And everything about this and the other evaluation metrics is in the evaluation plan that you find in the chat in the form of a link. This is the document that Matteo Matteucci said is going to be updated, but the current versions will cover the metrics used both in the Cascade campaign and in the field campaign of 2023. Another question is, how can we join other teams aimed to networking? And there will be tools and specifically communication platform for this set up before the competition, and it will become available shortly after the closing of the official registration. There is another question of the kind we solicited before, especially from UNIMI. Can we propose having one crop to be inside the greenhouse? Yes, you can do requests about specific crops or specific types of cultivation. Get in contact with us. You will find the email contacts on our website, and we can work together to see if we can accommodate your requests on a case-by-case basis. Then there was a more specific question about the intra-row distance for the new crop, and the answer is that it will be between 50 and 70 centimeters, again, taking into consideration specific requests from participants. Another question was about the leaf area estimation benchmark, which is one of the new ones presented today. And the motivation behind the use of this benchmark is that having an estimate of the leaf area of the crop in a row can be very, very useful when a machine has to estimate how much treatment to distribute on the row. So this is an interesting use case for industry, and this is the reason for the benchmark. Finally, the last questions from the chat was unclear. So the participant called Kamas is invited to speak and explain this better, so we can answer you.
So there are other questions in the chat. For example, they ask for the field campaign in May for the extraction and field navigation task, if we know the specific length of the field and the width of the crop rows and the age of the crop. I mean, the age, it will vary probably based on the weather, but I think not more than 30 centimeters. And what about the width and the length, Davide?
The length of the width will depend also by the weather, but
yes, the 8, yes, I said.
But they will not be so high. I think the rate will be between 5 to 10 centimeters, not more, for the width. And for the cultivation, it depends about the cultivation. For example, if you are talking about maize, the age will be from 20 to 35 centimeters around. And for beans, it will be from 10 to 25 centimeters.
Yes. And the land?
The land, I think it will be around 50 meters.
50 meters.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there will be from the participating team some request to extend to 80 or 100 meters, it can be done. But our idea is to set up the plot for 50 meters.
Yeah, so we are flexible, and also in the registration form, you can specify your interests, and then we will try to see what will fit all the participant needs.
Okay.
So there is another question. I was wondering if the proceedings for the past Cascade campaign can be made available. So proceedings, there are not actually proceedings. There are there is still available the web pages of the last campaigns and the results, and also the data sets for sure can be accessible. There are not really proceedings. There are maybe reports but the reports that we submitted to the European Commission, I don't know if they...
Yes, we have to check if they are public, but if they are, you can get a copy of them. So maybe the best thing is if you write an email to us, we can reply with the correct evaluation about this. Also, one additional question from the chat is it possible to have essential oils or herbal plants to be planted for the end of May?
In general, yes, for sure. Ask us what kind of plant do you need, and we will see if it will be possible to do exactly what you want.
Please, everyone, mute your mic when you're not using it. The idea is, as you can see, that ACRE is a research effort, and we want to support industry, but also to support researchers. So we are not fixed in our execution of the benchmark, and we try to be flexible in order to get into the direction that single participant prefer. So if you have a request, it can be taken for granted that we can honor that request, but we will try. So write an email to us. We will get in contact and we will see together.
So there is a question about the methods used in the previous Cascade campaigns. Actually, we don't have a documents presenting the approaches of the past campaigns used by the participants, even if we presented them in a workshop. If probably in the last workshop, if you go on YouTube, you find the recording. And at a certain point, we had presented some approaches of the winners, but this year it will be an object detection task. And while the last years, it has been a semantic segmentation task. So I can tell you maybe some models that they use like UNet networks and so on, but this year you will need to use other models.
Any other questions? Maybe by voice? Keep in mind that this is the workshop that presents our next campaigns, but things do not end with the workshop. So if you have something you want to ask later, you can get in contact with us. That's not a problem. And by the way, I invite every one of you that can and want to physically participate to the field competition in Cornaredo that we will have in May, because even if you don't want to participate to the competitions, to the campaign itself with the robot or with anything, it can be interesting for you to come and see with your eyes what's happening there. You may even get in contact with other people that you may work with. Any other questions? Okay, it seems that there are no residual doubts about ACRE, it's at least so far. So please, if you need, get in contact with us and we will do our best to answer quickly. And still, we invite everyone who is interested as a participant, as a sponsor, as a stakeholder, to get in contact with us in order to organize something together for the upcoming competitions. And I invite every one of you to take a look not only to ACRE's and Metrics websites, but also to the AgrifoodTEF one, because this is now the new step in the effort for research and for industry in Europe about performance evaluation in agriculture. So I think this may be of interest to all of you. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here, and hopefully see you in Cornaredo. And let's hope we can work together someday, now or in the future. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye. See you.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.